For Tesla investors, this is the question that matters most. How likely and how soon will Elon Musk hit the 12 tranches of his 2025 CEO performance plan, the boldest roadmap in corporate history? We're talking 1 million robotaxis delivered, 1 million humanoid bots in commercial operation, 10 million active FSD subscriptions, 20 million vehicles, and 400 billion in EBITDA. If Elon hits these targets, Tesla doesn't just grow, it explodes into the most valuable company on earth. Today, we'll break down each milestone, look at the timelines, and ask the only question that matters. Can Elon actually pull this off? What happens to Tesla stock if he does? Cern Basher is a chartered financial analyst running his own investment advisory firm called BrilliantAdvice, providing wealth management services. Welcome, Cern.
Hi, Herbert. It's good to be here.
Thank you for doing the show with me today. I wanted you to give the audience here a little bit more of a breakdown. Honestly, when you think about it, right, this 2025 Performance Award is incredibly important for Tesla investors. And we're all kind of like going, oh, I can't wait till we get to $2 trillion. That's double of where Tesla was. And then wait until we get to 8.5 trillion and so forth. Well, what I wanted you to do today is break down every single operational milestone and how likely is Elon going to get to, let's say, 20 million vehicles delivered? When does that happen? And I know that you've already done all this work. You've already put together these spreadsheets. And so let's go through each one of them because I think it's kind of interesting. When I looked at it right now, just a quick review, it looks like that most of these won't be delivered until later, but I think there might be a few surprises. Thanks. Thank you so much, Cern.
Yeah, I think there'll be some surprises too. And I think as we get into this, I think we'll see where the surprises might actually come.
Yeah, let's go.
Yep.
So first, what I thought we'd do is just review again the milestones, make sure everybody's on the same level playing field. The 2025 performance plan that we're going to vote on November 6th for Elon basically says that he gets nothing unless he hits both of these. The CEO must attain both a market value and an operational milestone for each tranche of shares in award. First, he has to get the Tesla market valuation to $2 trillion, and only then, plus one operational milestone. It doesn't have to be this one here. It's just, the way the table was made. But any one of these at any one time, plus the $2 trillion, he gets that tranche. That's when he gets his first pay, and then onward. So the $2 trillion, they put up 8.5 trillion is the max, but we know that it could go higher than that. But these are the operational milestones. He needs to hit one of these at any point in time. So is it easier for him to hit the 50 billion? Is it easier for him to get the FSD subscriptions and so forth? And so let's go through each one of these and see your tables of when you think we might be able to hit each of these. So let's get started with your deck here.
Yeah, I just wanted to start by making the point that I think the market cap milestones are the easiest part of this to meet.
Okay.
The market cap, I think, will lead some of the operational numbers, and I'll show you why here in a second. But let's just pause for a second and recognize the staggering amount of market cap that this would represent, right? We've covered this chart before, and this is in the proxy materials. But in order for Tesla to get to that $8.5 trillion market cap milestone, the last one, that's the equivalent of 2 current NVIDIAs. It's a staggering size. But yeah, I think actually these could actually be the easiest part of the plan to meet, and I'll show you why.
Yeah, 2 times NVIDIA, and today NVIDIA is the most valuable company in the world with $4 trillion something worth right now. So you're saying don't even just create another NVIDIA right now, but double it, make 2 NVIDIAs.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And then even just the first 2 trillion, you need to make 36 General Motors. Interesting that they chose GM as their benchmark here, but that's because I guess in the first tranche, we are really just a car company still, so you need to be 36 General Motors. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's funny that the first 3 there, they're showing 3 auto companies, and then they leave the auto industry behind. How many Toyotas do you want to show, right? So you leave that behind. I find it curious that they picked a bank there for the 4th one. Maybe that's sort of, I think Elon's relationship with Jamie Dimon has greatly improved over the years, but I think years ago there was some friction there. And so that may be by choice to show that, we will be 4 JP Morgans. But then from there, it's solidly, tech companies, and that makes more sense to me.
Makes sense. 2 Amazons. Okay, let's go.
So here are the two side by side, and again, similar to the table that you first presented. So again, he needs to meet the various market cap milestones plus the operational milestones in any order. It doesn't matter what order those come. Now, of course, you're going to get the 50 billion EBITDA before you get to 80. So there's an order to those. But in terms of the first four of them, he doesn't have to hit the 20 million Tesla vehicles delivered before anything else applies. So that's an important thing to understand. And then, of course, that unlocks 1% of the shares for each tranche. So yeah, so let's go through each of these and sort of dissect, when those operational milestones might be met, and we'll use my model to sort of query that and see when each of these might actually be hit.
Okay. You don't have to answer this question right now if you want. You can keep me in suspense. But is 50 billion adjusted EBITDA easier to get than these four? You don't have to answer if you don't want
Let's
to.
find out.
Okay.
Let's keep everybody in suspense.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. So just to level set things, this is the number of vehicles Tesla has delivered so far as of the end of June, right? It's just under 8 million. So here in Q3, by the time we finish Q3, which is just another couple of weeks away or less, we will be solidly over 8 million, closer to 8.5 million. And so the question is then, how long will it take to get to 20 million? So we can use my model here to look at this. And on the next page is a snapshot of...
Yeah. Just before we leave this one, it took how long for them to get to 8 million sales? Of course, it's a brand new company. So let's say 2012 all the way to 2025. So 13 years to get to the first.
Yeah, it's actually 15. The company started in 2010 or became public in 2010.
Yeah, I see.
Right. So it's actually a longer time period than what's shown here. Yeah.
Okay. And that's fair. I mean, it takes up companies, this is like from scratch to nothing. And then, and this growth here, does that look like exponential? Does it look like a steep curve?
Yeah, it's a decent curve. The line is sort of flattened out a little bit because Tesla's deliveries over the last couple of years have been a little bit weaker, right? They've kind of flatlined in the last 3 years. But still, it's a phenomenal number of vehicles being produced and sold. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is actually my snapshot from the Robotaxi business model. But before we talk about Robotaxi, let's talk about cumulative EVs sold. So in that first column there, EVs delivered, this is sort of the expectations that's built into the model. Yes. And you can see in 2023, Tesla sold 1.8 million vehicles. Mm-hmm. In 2024, it's just under 1.8 million. And I've got 1.7 in there for 2025, so a little bit less.
Do you think
and
so?
That would take us to about 9 million cumulative EVs sold at the end of this year. Okay. And let's say they sell another 2 million next year. That gets us to almost 11 million. And then if we have 3 million in 2027, now we're starting to include some cybercabs. So I guess the question is, do you back those out? I don't think so. I think Tesla is able to include vehicles that's going into its own fleet in these numbers. Okay. Yeah. So now we're about 14 million. And then in 2028, if they sell 5 million, deliver 5 million, that gets you to about 19. So they're close at that point to the 20 million mark.
Oh, okay.
And in my model, they would cross it in 2029 at some point.
Okay. So first of all, you did clarify, you did confirm by looking at the fine print. When they say 20 million vehicles delivered, it includes Tesla owned. They don't have to sell it in order for it to be considered delivered, just made.
Yeah, it says cumulatively delivered 20 million Tesla vehicles, and it expressly says in the, what's a Tesla vehicle? It means any vehicle manufactured on behalf of the company, such as the Model S, 3, X, Y, Cybertruck, Cybercab, and Semi.
Yeah, Cybercab
or
too.
any other new vehicle. And they do say that if it's been understood that any bots shall not be considered as Tesla vehicles. So it's excluding bots. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it does expressly includes the Cybercab. So I would imagine if they make a Cybercab and deliver it to the Robotaxi business unit, then that's a delivery. That counts.
So let's go through your assumptions here. Like, first of all, do you think you're being conservative? Are you being realistic? Are you being optimistic?
Well, I think for me, it depends on how quickly they ramp up cybercabs. And certainly Elon wants to ramp them up very quickly. But let's just let's just say they keep selling about 2 million vehicles to customers. So in 2026, that's a couple million, right? And then I've got in 2027 another million vehicles. And so, you could think of that as all cybercabs. And the question is, can Tesla produce, 1 million cybercabs by 2027 in that calendar year? They're starting production of them late this year, early next year, ramping production through 2026. to me, that's certainly very feasible to produce an extra million vehicles, right? And again, they want to ramp this up considerably. So I've got 5 million in 2028. Will they get to 3 million cybercabs? Maybe it's 2.5, and maybe they're selling 2.5 million vehicles to customers to get to the 5 million. So, it all depends on how rapid that cybercab ramp is. But if you want to sandbag this a little bit, I think certainly by 2030, we're well over 20 million cumulative deliveries.
Okay. Yeah. When I look at this, I think that you're actually being conservative because you're saying that 2026 is 2 million vehicles.
Yeah.
And actually, you're saying 2025 is 1.7 million. Of course, this is the year that they had to shut down the 4 factories for the Model Y refresh. So there's going to be a reduction. But we'll see what happens with Model Y L and then the new, more affordable vehicle. But yes, it's kind of late in the game. It's unlikely it's going to make a move the needle a little bit. So I'm not going to quibble on that one. But 2 million for next year feels a little low. If macro improves, right now, obviously lots of ifs. If macro improves and you've got several rate cuts already, and then FSD is so good, and then you've got the more affordable vehicle, and that's ramped up. Then you got a few cybercabs, and then I think it's going to be more than 2 million here. And then here you're going, at this point, if you just hold the 2 million flat for cars in general, but then you add 1 million of robotaxis, that does seem a little high for robotaxis. But I don't see why he wouldn't do, like I said, 1 or 2 or 3 million by, if everything goes right with a lot of vehicles. That's the reason lots of jurisdictions ready to go for robotaxi. That's why they made the cybercab the way they did, right? Easy to manufacture, Legos, connect together quicker. You should be able to produce, I think they said, right? 1 cybercab for every 5 seconds instead of 1 Model Y. That the record right now is Giga Shanghai, which is 1 every 35 seconds. That's how much faster this is to make. So I think, you saying 2 or 3 million is not out of the per year cybercabs only. It's not out of the question as long as there's enough jurisdictions.
That's right. And the other thing here I would just make note of too, that my 2025 number of 1.7, that the purpose of this model is not to pinpoint the prediction for 2025. That's not really going to make much difference in this model at all. So I recognize that is likely off, and same thing with 2026. I'm just trying to, with broad strokes here, sort of show these trends. And then the other thing I would point out here, Herbert, because we're on the Robotaxi page, in the column next to that cumulative EV sold column is the autonomous fleet size, or in other words, how big is the Robotaxi fleet? And I've got it getting to 1 million by the end of 2028. Now, you can already see a disconnect here, right? Because I said a minute ago that my 2027 number of 3 million includes 1 million cybercabs. Well, where do they go? Well, they don't show up in the fleet until 2028. That's kind of strange, right? If you make them, you're going to deliver them immediately and put them to work. So again, I think this makes it conservative. I'm only assuming 100,000 vehicles in the Robotaxi fleet by the end of 2027, which seems very low to me. I know Elon wants to ramp that up much faster than that. So I recognize the disconnect, and again, I think this makes it very conservative. And of course, Robotaxi fleet is not waiting for cybercabs to ramp. It can ramp with Model Y. But
that's the thing. I think that this could be moved up sooner because autonomous fleet, right? You have the definition of what that is, but basically, robotaxis in what is it called? Robotaxis
in commercial operation.
In commercial. No.
And it says
it's 1 million humanoid bots in commercial operation. It's 1 million robotaxis delivered.
1 million robotaxis in commercial operation, right? A daily average aggregate number of at least 1 million robotaxis commercially operated by or on behalf of the company. So again, there could be partners.
Okay.
Over a consecutive 3-month period.
Yeah, which is us. My Model Y, my Model 3, my Model Y. If I put it in, it's part of it, right? So that's the part where I think you can get to 1 million sooner.
You could. Yeah. Again, for my valuation model, I've been very conservative here. I've pushed it back a year or so, perhaps, right? Just to be conservative in terms of timing. But when I look at this now in terms of what Tesla could actually do, and certainly where Elon wants to be, I think certainly by the end of 2027, 1 million is entirely feasible.
It's all dependent on FSD 14, whether or not that is truly unsupervised. But we're 2025. So let's give them a year, 2026. If by the end of next year, we truly get to unsupervised FSD, then that's when they'll go and say, okay, we're going to add your cars in. If we can add our cars in, that's why I think 2027 might be the right the right timing for that.
It's certainly
But
doable by 2027. Yep.
yeah, and if they do, so is that robotaxis? Did it actually specify? Can it be a ride hail? Can you have a human there or no? Robotaxis clearly unsupervised. Like not the California version.
It says robotaxi means a vehicle, including cybercab, regardless of the marketing name used, that uses FSD and is used to offer transportation services without a human driver in the vehicle.
Okay. Whoa. I think 2028 is actually, I'm going to push it back. You're right. That's,
Yeah, I think in that time frame, 27, 28, in there probably is a reasonable estimate for that. Right. Now, what Elon wants is to get there by the end of 2026, probably, or even sooner. Will they be able to? That remains to be seen.
So of these two that we're talking about so far, EVs delivered and FSD, we haven't talked to FSD yet. Well, we're talking robotaxis delivered.
Yeah.
It's because robotaxis delivered can include existing cars, and it can include all the cars that they're creating in the next several years, and Model Ys, Model 3s, anything that they make, and the cybercabs. I think the 1 million might be easier. Didn't you have a great proposal one time? You said, okay, just assume that only Texas approves robotaxi for Tesla.
Yeah.
No one else does it. You said, well, you know what? They could still put in what number? Do you remember what the number you thought? 200,000 cars that can.
I forget the
flood
exact
the
number,
market?
Herbert, but it could be a lot. It's probably over 1 million if you want to just dominate Texas and destroy not only rideshare but vehicle ownership. You could do it in one state like Texas.
So you don't just do it because you're competing with Uber and you're trying to do ride hail. You do it to compete with
Every vehicle on the road. Yeah.
People are not
Right.
gonna,
Whether it's rental cars and also personally owned vehicles,
Yeah.
third vehicles, second vehicles, and then eventually first vehicles. Yeah. Ultimately. Yeah.
I can see 200,000, and then you do like say 3 or 4 of jurisdictions, and you got your million. It's like, what we're trying to point out is that we don't think that it's going to be limited by regulations per se.
I don't think so. I think that since they've got Texas and it's operational in Texas, they can copy and paste other Texas cities. That gives them huge potential. And then from there, if they continue to have regulatory issues in other states, which I don't think they will, and maybe some states, but not all of them. But if they did, they could pursue a dominate Texas strategy and just flood that market with vehicles, drive down the cost of transportation, show everybody in the world what's possible, make it a case study, show the how many fewer accidents there are, and the cost savings to the hospital and health insurance system.
Yeah.
It would be a beautiful case study if you did it in one state to that degree. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they'll have to. That they won't need to go that route, but they could if they needed to.
Isn't it ironic, I guess, that it seems to be the hardest milestone to hit could actually be the vehicles? Because the number's so high, 20 million. We're at 8. You got to make 12 million.
But again,
vehicles.
he's got 10 years, and that takes us to the last row on this chart. So 2035 looks like a distant point when we're looking at these numbers right now. And by that point, I think they could be at about 70 million cumulative vehicles produced.
I see.
So 20 over this compensation plan's time frame is entirely achievable. We're just focused on how quickly it can be, but
because we want it sooner. We don't want to wait 10 years.
Yeah.
That's right. But okay, if you look at it for the 10 years, yeah, it's absolutely doable. All of this is doable within 10 years, but we're just trying to get
how quickly could it happen? Yeah.
By 2030 is what I'm looking at, right? It's like 5 years from now. And so far, what you basically said here is that yes, 20 million is possible. I don't know what probability it is, but it's there. Possibly by 2030, 20 million. And the 1 million robo-taxis could be possible by 2030 as well. In fact, maybe in 2028. Okay.
And I would put the odds of that happening before the vehicle number is hit.
And that's where I'm saying ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, while we're here, the third one that we want to talk about is FSD subscriptions, the 10 million active FSD subscriptions. And so the question is then, what's the FSD take rate? Mm-hmm. Now, clearly, the take rate over time is going to go up because FSD is getting better and better and better. So naturally, the take rate will increase. And it's just a question of then, do we get the 10 million when there's 20 million vehicles produced, like the take rate's 50%? Or do we still need 40 million vehicles? So let's say that's 2031 and the take rate's 25%, then there you're approaching about 10 million. So it's just a matter of take rate and how quickly Tesla can ramp that up. It also relates, in my opinion, to this whole FSD licensing issue and whether Tesla can have other OEMs making cars and including FSD. And so in that case, then it's not dependent upon how many vehicles Tesla makes. It's dependent upon how many vehicles Tesla and their FSD partners make.
Can you read out the active FSD subscription definition?
Means that there's an average daily aggregate number of at least 10 million subscriptions over a consecutive 3-month period through accounts established with the company that provide access to FSD by means of a single payment to the company for an indefinite period, or repeat purchase, or similar transaction with the company for any period paid for by any individual or entity other than the company, or any licensee authorized to sell subscriptions on behalf of the company. For the avoidance of doubt, the foregoing excludes free trial subscriptions and generally intended to count a single user with 2 subscriptions as 2 distinct subscriptions.
Yeah, it's not by users, by subscriptions.
Yep.
And then you've clarified here that it could be any partner. Yeah, it could be like, it doesn't have to be just Tesla owned. It can be Ford decides to partner.
Yeah.
And they buy FSD subscriptions. Great, it's part of it.
And I would add too, we're not talking about my model so much here today, but I would add that I have not included anything for FSD licensing in my models.
Because?
I've always felt that the time has passed for that to happen, because if you license FSD today with a company, it's going to take them at least 2 or 3 years, if not more, to build a vehicle that is able to incorporate FSD.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, the game is pretty much over in 3 or 4 years. And the game of selling vehicles is pretty much over in 3 or 4 years, in my opinion. But perhaps not. Clearly, I mean, this wouldn't be in the compensation plan if it's not something that they're aiming for, right? Like, this is actually probably telling me that I'm likely wrong about that, which is encouraging. Again, it makes my model conservative because I've got no revenue from FSD licensing in my model.
I mean, Robin Denholm was asked the question, like, why is this so vehicle heavy? The whole plan, like, why? And her answer was almost like, that we are still a car company.
Yeah.
The other day we want Elon to commit to not only robots but also cars. Yeah, so let's go through this like a little bit thought experiment here, right? I mean, my thinking would be that there's 8 million cars out there right now. You and I have a bunch each, and then all of our audience, most of them have Teslas. What percentage of that would adopt FSD? Now, the caveat, the thing to think about is that, let's say within next year, FSD 14, FSD 15, it's basically done deal. Okay, given that scenario, it's a done deal. We don't even have to put a date to this. We just have to assume that sometime within the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, there will be a version of FSD that is so good, it allows you to sleep in a car. And Tesla goes, I'll cover the insurance for that, and because we know that the insurance is so low. Okay, so if it gets to that point, what percentage of the 8 million that exists today would do this? Now, the future cars that are being sold now in the future every year, I suspect that it's going to be 100% at that point. And Tesla might actually bundle it to force you to buy it. And they might change into a subscription or reduce the monthlies because, again, they'll combine it with insurance that they know is going to be a lot lower, but they'll combine it. We already started to see this in the last 6 months. We saw a number of different deals that Tesla's been doing where they bundled in FSD, forcing Cybertruck owners to buy it. Model S and Model X, they're forced to buy it. You can't buy one of those without FSD anymore. And then they're playing around with subscription revenue, bundled things and subscriptions. So I just going to assume that if FSD is so good and in the future, I think it's not, it's possible that 90%, 80, 90, 70% of all cars that they sold from then on is basically got FSD in it.
It is. I think if you have something that's that useful and that powerful and that good, people are going to want it, right? Now, it's interesting in this plan, there's nothing in here about the price of FSD. There's nothing stopping Tesla from offering FSD at $1 a day.
no profitability because it's
No.
basically sunk cost for research and development. This is now all
Yeah.
profit, except for
Right.
EBITDA. If he wants to hit his EBITDA numbers, he needs to
Sure.
make
Yeah.
some extra profit there.
But in terms of hitting this number, you could drop the price of FSD and get there pretty quickly. Now, I've also said in the past that Tesla could do a real service to humanity, or certainly United States society, by making FSD, very inexpensive. You're saving lives, right? So if you're using FSD for personal use, make it really cheap. If you're using FSD for commercial use, right? If we're including our vehicle in a robotaxi network, then charge us for FSD at that point because we're using it to make money. That's different than using FSD to save a life or make driving safer.
Interesting. So yeah, there's that model. I think you brought up a long time ago, but you're just saying it again now. If you sell a car to a customer, FSD is part of it. You get it for free. It's free or very small amount. Shouldn't be
It's like seatbelts, right? That's included. You don't.
So
pay
then,
extra for seatbelt.
then that counts for the 10 million active FSD subscription. So there has to be some amount.
There has to be a payment for this
Yes.
for this to work. There has to be a payment to the company. Yes.
But a lot less.
Yep.
Now, then if they want to put it into the network, Robotaxi network, like make money in a car while it's not using, it's my garage and I want to go ahead and send it out for the day or two, then that's when I would get a cut. But in that case, since I didn't buy, there's an additional FSD subscription that's just part of that. I get less of a cut if I didn't outright own FSD totally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think there's lots of different things they can do there. So 10 million right now seems like a big number, but it's really not. Yeah. And I think Tesla, in my opinion, Tesla will likely try some different models here. It just seems like the right thing to do. If you've got life-saving technology, make it as widely available as you can.
Well, let's go back to the table again because, the 8 million cars out here, how many of them will eventually have FSD? I don't think it's going to be 100%, right? I would say that if you're lucky, 50% of the 8 million cars that everybody already owns, even with
lucky.
FSD so good.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So if that's the case, that's 4 million.
There's 4. You just need another 6.
You need another 6. When do you get the other 6? If we now assume that every new car will have it, and because it's so good, everybody will buy it.
2 or 3 years.
So it's not as hard as I thought. Because initially I thought the 10 million, I can't see how you're going to get that going except for licensing. But licensing, let's talk about that. Even if today Ford or some big company says, yes, we're going to do it, when will they actually buy the FSD subscription? It won't happen for 3 years.
That's right.
They themselves, Tesla executives, said it themselves. It will take them that long to put the cameras in the car, the next car that they make, put the actual Tesla computer chip in there. Will still take them 3 years to create a brand new car out.
That's probably at the earliest 2029 thing, and certainly in the 2030s. So that could be a factor in the last 5 years of this model. But again, I don't think we'll need that in order to hit the target.
What about this model, Cern? What about that? You put 2 million in 2026 of cars sold, Tesla sold, right?
Delivered, yep.
What happens when FSD is so good? It's funny. I brought this up recently. What about if Hertz comes back and says, "Oh my God, okay, now have or Uber, right?" And there's lots of potential companies that will do this. I'll go ahead and buy 1 million of your robotaxis now with FSD now, and I'm going to go and do, either do it for my own commercial use, right? Or I will use it for robotaxis. That could happen.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Elon has said that individuals will be allowed to buy cybercabs and put them in the fleet. They've never mentioned about fleet partners. Now, that's a logical thing because a rental car company has infrastructure that individual owners don't have, and access to, cleaning and charging and all that stuff that individual owners might not have. And so we don't yet know what that model will look like. My guess is that Tesla is going to do it themselves first in many of these startup cities.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want to get to half the population, then having some key partners probably is really smart.
Buying Tesla cars, by the way.
Yeah, buying the vehicles, putting them in the fleet.
Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi was interviewed just this week at All In Podcast. Jason Kalkanis, who's an early investor at Uber, had asked him the question, because Uber announced that they're going to do a $20 billion buyback. And he asked them, why are you doing a $20 billion buyback of stock? Why don't you use that to buy, if you just bought even used Teslas and new Teslas, you can buy 1 million of them and then have it ready until the Robotaxi happens. And then he said, we can do both. We have enough money to do both. That was his answer. So it's not off the table for a company to say, hey, this thing works. I'm going to go and reserve now 1 million of those cars that you're creating. And then all of a sudden, can Tesla then increase production by 1 million? And when I did a Cyber Bowl show yesterday with Larry and Jeff Lutz, Alexandra, they all unanimously said the capacity of the existing factories, especially with the unboxed model for the Cybercabs, yes, and they can produce 1 million new Model Ys or Cybercabs in the existing factories. So,
yeah, and again, here I've got that happening in 2027. So that seems like a reasonable time frame to me. Right, next year they sort of start making them, they start ramping them up, and then you've got 1 million by 2027.
That's why you put the 1 million there. Yeah, okay. Yep. So where are we now with the ability to get 10 million active FSD subscriptions? What year did you think that that's going to happen?
I think it's probably also in that 2028, 2029 timeframe.
Okay. So is everything falling in the 2028, 29 timeframe?
Well, those three are, right? The 20 million deliveries, the 10 million FSD, and the 1 million Robotaxis. Now let's take a look at the bots.
Okay.
So this one, again, too, we don't know about the timeframes, but in my model, just to go through these numbers, I've got them making 100 bots this year. Whatever, it's not consequential. I've still got a slow ramp next year. I've got 500 in here, right? They've got some issues to work out that they're not ready to mass manufacture them yet. And then I've got 5,000.
Yeah, let me just interject that the fact that Tesla now made the Optimus version 3, which was a complete redesign of version 2.5 and 2, that actually does not make it sound too conservative at 500 next year anymore. Because once you've created a brand new design, you start it from scratch all over again.
It's kind of for internal testing and their suppliers and so on. It's a small number and it's not economically material to the company. Mm-hmm. And then I've got 5,000 in 2027, 150,000 made in 2028, 400,000 in 2029, and 1 million in 2030. And by the way, 1 million robots, if you assume that you can make 10 bots for every car, that's equivalent to like 100,000 cars, which is not a stretch for a company like Tesla. And this is in 2030. So the cumulative number then crosses over 1 million between 2029 and 2030. So sometime in 2030, per this model, you'd get to 1 million. Let's say by June of that year or whatever it is. But I think these numbers are heavily sandbagged. To me, Elon wants to ramp this up sooner rather than later. Is it going to take them 5 more years to develop a bot that's commercially viable? I don't think so. Right. So I think actually this ramp here, we could get to 1 million. If I really tell you what I think and not
please
making a model conservative, I think it's 2028.
Okay. I'm not ready to go there, but let's go through the arguments. Elon just said, right, he is locked in on humanoid robots or Optimus. That is what he's spending. He's burnt the midnight oil, he said just this week. Focus on that.
1 million robots, again, sounds like a lot, sounds like a big number. It's not.
What's the car equivalent?
Well, if you think that you can make 10 bots for every car, then that's the car equivalent's 100,000 cars. If you can make 20 bots for every car, that's only 50,000 vehicles. Mm-hmm. They made 50,000 Cybertrucks in the first year.
Yeah, and you're giving them 3 years to get that production locked in because it's such a brand new product. Every supply chain's all brand new. But once you get there, it's equivalent to spitting out 100,000 of those car that year, which is doable.
Nothing for a company like Tesla. So it's interesting, at a fleet size of 1.5 million bots, that's generating a net profit of about $60 billion at that point. Okay, assuming a bot makes a profit of $108 a day in this example. And because the bot business is just getting going, the PE on the bot business, if it was a standalone company, probably would be 100 or more. And that would get you to a $6 trillion valuation on just bots. So
wow.
It's not going to be any challenge meeting the valuation targets, and I'll show you here in a second.
Yeah.
Right? And actually, if we go to the next page, let's
But
put all four of these together.
before you move on, I think you need to give us the exact definition of this milestone of bots, because did it say humanoid bots or didn't? Because it includes bots, like other form factors.
So bot means any robot or other physical product with mobility using artificial intelligence manufactured by or on behalf of the company, including Optimus, and any other successor, replacement, or enhancement to such. Bot that substantially performs or provides similar functionality, such as a robot or other product using artificial intelligence, and it's being understood any vehicles shall not be considered bots. So a bot's not a vehicle's not a bot. But basically, it's Optimus plus whatever else they come up with that is capable of
physical interaction.
Yeah.
Let's say a Roomba. Let's say they create a vacuum cleaner. I think that's included. That's an AI bot.
Technically, it would be. Yeah, I highly doubt that Tesla's going to get into that business particularly, but yes, it could be other.
I'm just saying that there's we had lots of references by Tesla AI team members referring to humanoid bots and bot animals.
Yeah.
They refer to it bot animals, and so you're thinking, just any form factor. It doesn't have to be a humanoid per se. Right. It can be a small art. And then, Elon keeps referring to R2D2s. It's not just C-3POs. He said there's going to be a bunch of R2D2s. Well,
so every bot needs a friend, I guess, huh?
Yeah. But having said that, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that if you're locked in and focused on humanoid bots and you're barely making 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, you're not going to go and fool around. You might announce it, but you're not going to create a production line for something unless it's like half the body or, similar parts.
Well, they announced the vacuum cleaning bot.
The what?
The vacuum cleaning, the car cleaning bot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if it's AI powered, then that would qualify in this category. So you're going to need a lot of those.
You think so? You think that that vacuum cleaning thing is?
Well, it says product with mobility. So the question is, how mobile is that bot?
What does that mean, right? Is it freely roaming the earth, or is it like a fixed thing? That's not mobility. I don't think that's mobility. That's movement,
again, it depends on how that bot functions. If it's on wheels and it rolls around anywhere, then it would be.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, I do. So maybe if there's bots made associated with Robotaxi, great, maybe. But okay.
Yeah.
Or
so again,
let's
just pause on this page actually before we go to the next one and just look at as you scale bots. Mm-hmm. And Elon says that they want to scale and ramp this like no other product in the history of the planet.
He did say that.
Right. And so by 2035, the end of Elon's compensation plan, I've got a fleet size of 170 million-ish bots. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's say it's 100 million. Let's say I'm off. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's 2034. So I go up 1 year, right? That's a business. If the bot is earning $44 a day, it's earning 1.6 trillion in net profit. That's after tax. And if you apply a PE ratio of 60 to that number, that's a $93 trillion market value. Okay.
So forget the 8.5 trillion.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if we get numbers anything like this, if they can pump out bots per Elon's wishes or even something similar, the numbers are staggeringly large. Let's say the bot fleet is only 20 million. So go back to 2032. Okay. And let's make that our 2035 number. There's 20 million bots in the world, 21 million bots in the world, earning $69 a day. That's $544 billion of net profit and a $43 billion $43 trillion market cap just on the bot business.
A 43x by 2035, even if you're super competitive. And 20 million bots doesn't sound like it's doable. Once you get to 100 million or any more than that, I go, okay, maybe not. Yeah. But 20 million bots, I think that's doable in 10 years for pretty good, possible.
And by the way, I've mentioned this before, but we should mention it again. Bots aren't just going to be used on planet Earth. In case people don't know, Elon has a space company. And you're going to send bots to Mars before you send people. Now, I don't know how many bots need to go to Mars. Do you need to send 10 million bots to Mars? Probably not initially, right? The numbers may be small, but
it's going to be small.
Over a 10-year time period, that could still be a significant number.
Yeah, they're not going to go to Mars. But I mean, in SpaceX itself as a company, could order 100,000 of these bots just themselves. I get that.
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and they're rich enough. They got the money. They can make Starlinks. They can make, in the factories. Although the Starlink thing is all automated already.
It's automated already. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But maybe they want to automate more of the production of the Starship.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe bots can help with that too. I'm not sure, but there's lots of opportunity. Again, let's not just limit ourselves to planet Earth. It's clear with the success of Starship that we're going to be doing a lot of work in space.
Okay. So what we
Right.
clarified today is that, first of all, the definition of bots is not just humanoid. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And million, you put a million in 2030.
Yeah. And
Which is
again,
what
if
he
you
said.
ask me what I would really say is 2028, I think is the number where we could hit a million bots.
He just recently said a million 2030, but then that was before he was given this, he accepted this plan. Or he might, you might say he already knew this plan, so he says a million. Or that he wants to tell you a million, but now that he's got the plan, he's actually got to say it's 2028. That's his actual goal. And this gives him buffer.
So. There was a period of time there where I think he was negotiating the plan, and he was actually kind of negative on bots. And it was kind of puzzling for me because prior to that, he'd been really positive about it. But now it's all starting to make a little bit of sense to me. There's no reason to talk up bots too much if you're negotiating a compensation plan.
Yeah, you're trying to hit the 1 million. I think it's really 1 million now. And to be fair, they slowed down the year because they wanted to do Optimus 3 because he felt that the hands were important.
Yeah.
And that is 100 times harder to make. All that's make it that much harder. Okay.
Yeah. It's more important to get it right than to be quick.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you want to be right and then be quick, right? He wants to scale it up. And so the million bot production or the million bots delivered, that's just a signpost on that rapid ramp of bot production. It's just a marker that they're going to blow past. All right, so let's put everything together. Now, this is taking all the elements of my model. So I've got the autos, and you can see just if we go down the auto column real quick, I've got the auto business generating about maximum 50 billion in profit, okay, just from autos. So he's not going to get to his 400 billion in EBITDA on autos alone. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's clear. So as much as they've got auto stuff in this compensation plan, clearly he needs something else other than autos to get there. You can add energy storage, and that might be another 65 to 70 billion. That doesn't get you there either. Okay, and semi between the two of those doesn't get you there. You might make 3 billion or something on that. Services and other doesn't matter. So Robotaxi, though, by 2035 could actually deliver 400 billion in profit. Mm-hmm. Right now, this is not EBITDA. This is net profit. So the EBITDA might be more like 600 billion at the point that you're generating 400 in net profit. So Robotaxi by itself could hit that 400 billion EBITDA number. It's probably equivalent maybe to 300-ish billion in profit. So that's 2031 to 2032 on Robotaxi alone. Okay.
And if you add the others, then you can get the 400.
Yeah. Well, again, we don't need to get the 400 here because this is net profit. This is a fully taxed number where the EBITDA number is before taxes and depreciation.
Oh, so it's going to be easier. So if you
easier.
Get 290 plus 34 plus 42, that's rounded up to 3 something. You're probably at the 400
you're
EBITDA.
There. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then Optimus also could get to the $400 billion number probably by 2032. Again, greatly depends on how quick the ramp is and when that happens. It could be sooner. But if you look at the total company profit number, the blue column, the first blue column with the box around it, between 2030 and 2031, I think they would get to that $400 billion tranche. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it is entirely possible that Elon could hit, in my opinion, could hit these numbers in 5 years. It's entirely possible if things accelerate a bit.
Because 400 billion EBITDA is the final number that he needs to hit.
That's right.
Of the 12 tranches.
Yeah. Now, the first one is 50 billion. So let's answer that question first. When do they hit 50?
Yeah.
It's probably in 2028.
Okay.
Okay, at the earliest. And then the next one's 80.
Yes.
That could also be 2028, but probably 2029.
Yes.
And the next one's 130. It's probably 2029. Next one's 210. Could be in 2030. And then 300 could be 2030. And then the 400, 2030, 2031. Okay. So I think all of these could be hit at the latest by 2031.
That's amazing. That is incredible. It's shocker. information for me? Because I'd assume that 400 billion is like so far away.
Yeah.
2035. Actually, no, it can happen sooner. Now, the 50 billion, when did you say that was going to happen? 2028?
2028.
So the funny thing is, it could be that the 50 billion EBITDA could happen before you hit any of the other product milestones.
It's true. That's possible. Although we had 2028, I think, for bots delivered, 1 million. That could happen that year. And we had robotaxis potentially in 2027.
No, you said 1 million robots in 2028.
Well,
yes. You're optimistic because you actually wrote down as 1 million in 2030, and I agree with 1 million 2030, not 2028. So no.
Yeah, I'm bringing that one forward. So yeah, it's a race. I think, in my opinion, I think the robotaxi one probably is first, and then come the 50 billion in earnings shortly after that, and then probably the bots around the same time period or shortly thereafter.
Okay, I'll put the bots to 2030. I agree with you. The 50 billion and 1 million robotaxis, and both before 10 million active FSD subscriptions, and certainly not the 20 million vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what I want to point out here is the green column.
Yeah.
The valuation. So, in my opinion, forget about the 8.5 trillion.
Exactly.
Okay? We're going to get to that number somewhere between 2028 and 2029, potentially.
Jesus. That's like 3 years, dude.
Okay, and by the time that he's met that last tranche of the 400 billion in profit, this model shows a valuation of between, let's say, 25 and 40 trillion dollars. Okay,
are you smoking?
We've been through these numbers before. You tell me where I've gone wrong here.
I know. Every time I look at your numbers, I go, I don't think you're lying. You're not too aggressive, but it's just like, I cannot accept my own mind, right? You're telling me you think that we're going to get to the 8.5 trillion by 2030.
Right, and so
I'm sorry, 2028. You said 2028, which is like 3 years from now.
Yeah, 2028, 2029-ish, in that time period. Again, I'm not trying to predict exactly when this happens, but if you just look at the model and run the numbers, right, the PE is going to be high at that point because the growth potential is huge. So if you don't want to assign a PE of 100, fine, assign another number. If you only assign a PE of 50, then you have a $4 trillion valuation in 2028-ish. Right. In 2029, you have a valuation of 7 trillion if you use a PE of 45. But I think the PE should be very high at that point because then you've got these two new business lines, Robotaxi and Optimus, that are just beginning to grow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Cern, thank you for putting all this together. Let's just quickly go back to this again to remind everybody the milestones. He needs to hit one of these milestones, the market value of the company has to be 2 trillion. It has to double the company before he even gets any tranche or one of these. And so you said 50 billion EBITDA or the robotaxis could be the first one in 2028. Then he has a 2 trillion market cap plus one of these two, and then he's got his first tranche. So his first tranche may not happen until 3 years from now. But then pretty quickly, it's going to blow through all this very quickly if these things are even on path.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, you might be lucky with the 1 million robots by 2028. That's in 3 years. And if you do, just that alone, honestly, right? If that one is hit in 2028 or even 2029, earlier than 2030, this jumps to this right away. The 2 trillion goes to 5 trillion pretty quick.
That's right.
And then maybe even the EBITDA, right, jumps too.
Yeah, in order to get to 400 billion in profit, you need something like 15 million robots. In operation.
And operation and sold, because it can't just be Tesla doing it. If other companies are paying you money for it, then that's where you get your EBITDA. This is great. This is what I needed to know. Thank you so much, Cern. This is what I was really hoping for you to walk us through, because it's all about the details. When do we think we'll hit each of these milestones where Elon will do it? And that, we're the secondary beneficiary of this because we're shareholders.
Now, of course, none of this is guaranteed. There's a lot of work that Tesla needs to do between here and there. But I think my overall point is if Elon achieves these goals, it's just the beginning of what's about to happen to the company. This isn't like the destination. This is, as I've said, a signpost along the way on this journey of building a global robotaxi fleet and a global fleet of bots, right? 1 million in each of those categories is just the beginning.
Just the beginning. If you can get
Right.
$1 million, it's at that point, it's almost a small chance that you're not going to get 2 million, 5 million, 10 million.
Yeah.
It's much higher because it's the hard part is actually getting to the building the business. Does Robotaxi exist? Does robots exist? And if it does, it's how many can you make?
Right. And then at that point, the question about, competition comes in terms of,
Sure.
what does the economics look like if you've got 20 different companies making robots? But I think right now, at least, in terms of the companies that can build these things at scale, I don't think there's anybody else in the world right now that can compete with Tesla in building cybercabs
But
at
I think
scale.
you and I
robots.
agree, though, that it doesn't matter. Like, let's say you get to 10 million robots. Tesla's able to make 10 million. They'll sell that. If other car companies, they each can make 10 million. They'll sell all 10 million.
Yeah.
It's like there's no cap, I don't think, until you get past over 100 million. That's when, okay, this company will choose you versus this one. And there's not enough other companies to buy them. I might be wrong, but that is the way I've done my calculations, and that's what I think it is. There's no competition until you're past, 50 million, 100 million bots. That people don't understand, don't believe me, but that's what I think.
You could have a very successful robot company that makes 500,000 bots, and they may be worth $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Right, but they'd be tiny compared to where Tesla is likely to be. But
Yeah.
yes, you could have many players in that space that are all successful, and there'd be quote unquote competition in that industry.
But not
But
really.
yet, Tesla and its ability to manufacture at scale would set themselves apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cern. This is powerful. This is great. I appreciate you doing this work as always. Follow Cern. He's a chartered financial analyst. You can look at his investment advisory firm at BrilliantAdvice.net. Thanks, Cern. Bye.
Thanks, Herbert.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.